When you think about New Year's, what comes to mind? Probably champagne, a big party, maybe watching the ball drop. But the way Americans actually ring in the New Year has a history that is way stranger and honestly, way more interesting than you'd think. We're talking forgotten parties, wild inventions, and even a couple of international incidents. So think for a second about your own traditions. Is it a big family meal? Do you glue yourself to the couch watching parades or a football game? Whatever it is, I bet the story behind it is a lot weirder than you imagine. And today, we're gonna dig into some of those fascinating and flat-out peculiar roots. Yep, we're going way beyond the basics here. We're gonna uncover some traditions that have completely vanished, look at the crazy inventions that power the ones that stuck around, and yeah, we're gonna talk about the football game that literally ended with a coach on the run from the law. Okay, first up, let's talk about a tradition that used to be the absolute center of New Year's in Washington, D.C. It's something that's so completely gone now, it almost sounds made up. Can you even imagine this today? On New Year's Day for over a century, the White House just opened its doors. Any citizen, you, me, anyone, could just get in line and shake the hand of the President of the United States. It all started with John Adams way back in 1801, and it was this incredible symbol of a young democracy, direct access to the person in charge. And what's wild is how long this lasted. It survived the Civil War, huge shifts in American life. I mean, think about this. On January 1st, 1863, Abraham Lincoln spent the morning shaking so many hands that he was genuinely worried his signature on the Emancipation Proclamation, which he signed that afternoon, would look shaky and uncertain because his hand was so tired. And just to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about, in 1907, Teddy Roosevelt shook 8,513 hands on one day. It set a world record for handshaking that, and this probably won't surprise you, still stands. So how does the tradition like this end? Well, not with a big announcement, but with a fishing trip. Seriously, in 1933, a recently defeated Herbert Hoover just canceled it. He went fishing instead, and his successor, FDR, never brought it back, probably because of his disability and, growing security concerns. And just like that, poof, a 130-year-old tradition was gone for good. All right, so from a tradition that disappeared, let's turn to one that didn't die out, but instead evolved in some totally mind-blowing ways, the Rose Parade. It started out pretty simple, just some carriages covered in flowers, but it was completely transformed by some really, really clever and unconventional people. So, in the early 1900s, this pioneer named Isabella Coleman looked at these floats and saw something more. She didn't just see decorations, she saw mobile stages. And that idea that you can do anything led her to completely revolutionize how these things were built. Her ideas were total game changers. Instead of stringing on one flower at a time, she started using whole bunches. She figured out how to paste petals right onto the float for this incredibly lifelike look. She used airplane wheels to get the chassis lower to the ground, and here's the big one. She invented putting each flower in its own tiny vial of water to keep it from wilting. She turned parade floats into moving works of art. But after Coleman, the next huge leap forward didn't come from some fancy design studio. Nope. It came from a bunch of engineering students at Cal Poly who brought this amazing learn-by-doing attitude and a whole lot of mechanical genius to the party. And just look at their track record. In '68, they won an award for animation using hydraulics they borrowed from a student's family farm. A few years later, in '77, they were using the landing gear from an F-4 fighter jet to make a roller skating elephant. They brought in the first computer controls in '79, and then later they even figured out how to animate the flowers themselves. That is just relentless innovation. Okay, now from engineering to, well, let's call it espionage. This next piece of New Year's history sounds way more like a spy movie than a college football game. So let me introduce you to the Bacardi Bowl. And yes, this was a real thing. It was a bowl game played down in Havana, Cuba. And in the early 20th century, American college teams would travel there for a big New Year's game. But one year in particular, things just went completely off the rails. Okay, so here's how it all went down. The Florida coach, a guy named George Pyle, gets down there and realizes the rules they're using are super old and dangerous. Then he finds out the referee is the other team's ex-coach. So he does the logical thing. He pulls his team off the field. Well, the Cuban authorities immediately arrest him. He posts bail, rounds up his entire team, and they book it out of the country on the first steamship they can find, which led to him being officially branded a fugitive from justice. You cannot make this stuff. And the weird political drama didn't stop there. In 1937, a game between Auburn and Villanova was almost canceled at the last minute because the game day program didn't have a picture of the Cuban dictator Fulgencio Batista. The only thing that saved the game was a frantic 11th hour print job. What a mess. All right, let's move from the football field to the dinner table. A lot of us eat certain foods on New Year's Day for good luck, right? But do you actually know why? The history behind what's on your plate is pretty cool. It's all about symbolism, and it's amazing how similar these ideas are all over the world. Pork is supposed to bring progress because pigs root forward with their snouts. Greens, like collards or cabbage, well, they look like folded dollar bills. Legumes, like black-eyed peas or lentils, are small and round like coins. And those ring-shaped cakes, they symbolize the year coming full circle. It all makes a weird kind of sense. Now, let's zoom in on one of the most famous American New Year's dishes of all, Hoppin' John. It's a huge tradition in the South, supposed to bring you luck and money. But here's the thing, the version that most of us eat today is basically a ghost of the original dish. And here's why. Over the last 100 years or so, big agriculture has systematically replaced every single one of the key ingredients. The original had this amazing, nutty rice called Carolina Gold. Now we use plain white rice. It had flavorful red cowpeas, not the standard black-eyed peas. It used smoky, long-cured bacon, not the watery stuff from the supermarket. Even the method of cooking it all together in one pot to let the flavors meld has been lost a lot of the time. And just listen to this quote from 1895 to understand what we've lost. A reporter describes the original dish as delightful, saying the rice and peas stood apart yet together, and that the purplish peas colored the rice. He's describing a dish with amazing texture and deep, savory flavor, which is a world away from the mushy, bland stuff we sometimes get today. But here's the good news. This story has a happy ending. Thanks to passionate food historians and dedicated heritage farmers, these original ingredients are slowly but surely making a comeback. You can actually buy Carolina Gold rice and heirloom cowpeas again, which means anyone can taste a real piece of culinary history and see what Hoppin' John was always meant to be. So when you pull it all together, from presidents shaking thousands of hands, to jet-powered parade floats, to fugitive football coaches and the secret history of a lucky dish, it's pretty clear that our New Year's traditions are this amazing tapestry of the grand, the weird, the inventive, and the delicious. And all this kind of makes you wonder, right, as our world keeps changing, what new traditions are we creating right now? And which of the things we do every year will end up as one of these forgotten, weird, and wonderful stories for people to uncover 100 years from now?